So I've been having a look at how ETCS works, how it supervises the train, the levels, the movement authorities. But what about actually doing a bit of ETCS? How do we implement it on a real railway? So implementing ETCS is something that's not really written down. You won't find many books on it. However, you now understand a bit about levels 1, 2, 3 and the future level R. So how can we arrange sections on the railway to deliver a train service? In other words, how are we going to apply it to a real railway? So if you remember level 1, the signals remain. They provide the primary information to the driver. The movement authority, which is transmitted by Belize groups, normally at the signals or infill Belize's, reflects the aspect displayed. And the extent of that movement authority also reflects the distance that your train is authorized to travel based on the displayed aspects. In GB, we use distance to go aspects, green, double yellow, yellow, red, indicating how far the train is authorized to travel. In some implementations, the aspect also represents a permitted speed, and this can be included in the MA information sent in level 1. So level 1 is all about providing train protection. It manages the safe operation and supervises the driver to make sure they're obeying the lineside aspects. Like most ATP systems, it actually should sit in the background. However, its downside is the intermittent nature of those authorities. They're only transmitted as the train passes over certain locations, and that can be quite restrictive. One of the answers is to move to level 2 or 3 or level R. And there are quite a few ways that the ETCS can send information over the railway, over the radio. The simplest is just simply to replicate the existing line-side signalling, similar to level 1, if you like, level 1 by radio. The MA sent still represents the displayed signal aspects, and this option is often known as overlay. The existing signalling is pretty much unchanged. The signal aspects are read by the RBC and movement authorities created to represent those aspects. So why are we doing ETCS? Level 1 and level 2 overlay really don't provide any extra capacity. If the signals are retained, then ETCS is pretty much just a train protection system. The capacity remains governed by the spacing of the signals and the sequence of the aspects. But ETCS can offer so much more. So what are some of the opportunities that ETCS can offer? Well, the length of sections into which a railway is split on conventional signalling is fixed by braking distance and the like. However, with ETCS, we don't need to have sections which are related to the braking distance. They can be as long or as short as required to meet operational need. That's particularly useful around stations where you may want several short sections on the approach so trains can get close, ready to enter the platform as soon as it becomes clear. In the ultimate, block sections could become so short that one is effectively getting a movement authority up to the rear of the train ahead. You could call it moving block. So ETCS offers us the best opportunities when it is not restricted by line-side signals. Those ends of authority can be placed where it suits the operational need, with long sections and short sections mixed together. And of course, not all of the boundaries between the sections need to be marked at the line side. Sometimes what we are trying to do is to move to an ETCS only railway, but there will be a few trains that need to continue to operate using line side signals, possibly due to train fitment or driver training. One option is something called Underlay. We first design the system for ETCS only, but then add a very few signals at strategic locations to manage the non-ETCS trains. Those non-ETCS trains may not have a good performance or operational capability, but they can still operate. Mixing signals with ETCS is not really a good idea. It's not ideal until you move away from a one-to-one relationship with the block sections. Maintaining the consistency of a line-side signal and the movement authority can be a real challenge, particularly if the signal has to display a proceed aspect, but part of the section that aspect would normally apply to is occupied, but a movement authority can be issued for the first part. Also, if you have nice bright signals at the line side, but you also need to provide information of stopping locations between those signals, that can be quite confusing for the driver, if they even are aware they're there. So next time, we're going to have a look at how we might design some ETCS on a real railway. We're going to be placing some ends of authority on a blank canvas.